Hello? I'm looking for a fish expert. Ah, there's one. What's going on, guys? Well, welcome back to the vlog. So I'm here today with Matt, our fish expert. Matt claims he's not a fish expert, but you are. How long have you been keeping fish?
Keeping fish?
Or knowing fish, doing
knowing
fish?
20 years plus, probably. In the industry and retail for fish, probably around 15 nearly.
Oh, so he knows what he's doing, basically. Right, today we're going to be looking at top 5 beginner fish.
Yeah.
You know better than me. As you guys know, I'm pretty good at like designing tanks and stuff like that, but when it comes to actual fish, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but Matt does. Let's do it. Matt, where are we going first?
We're going to go onto the back wall with all the Tetras.
Wicked. Thing is as well, everyone loves the Tetra, don't they?
Yeah, it's a really nice shoaling fish. They had a lot of colour and a lot of interest in the tank. My favourites, probably between 2. Lemon Tetras being one. These are a really hardy fish.
It's just focusing on the epistogramma.
He wants to be centre of
attention. Oh no,
attention.
that's not epistogramma. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. For a second I thought it was a crib, but yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, these guys go a real bright golden colour, almost orange sometimes, and they get this really cool red eye, really nice gold flash to the bottom fin, and they're just a really hardy fish that sort of go with everything. They're not nippy in any way really, and so you've just got so much stuff going on. So yeah, really, really good fish. I'd probably say they are one of my favourites.
Another thing I've noticed here, Matt, is that there's a fighter in with all of these. Is that okay?
Yeah, so those guys generally get on really well with a fighter. I've never had any problems with them nipping because, like I say, they are one of the more sort of community-based Tetras. So yeah, I've mixed them with just about anything. Obviously, we've got Epistos in there. We've got some little Corydorus in there with them. Yeah, they're just a really good, easy community fish and really hardy.
What are those?
So they're a little African dwarf cichlid. They're a Nanochromis.
I love them.
Yeah, they've just come in. So yeah, they're just settling down and they should be ready for sale in the next week or so.
After I've got them all, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. I've picked out a nice pair for you.
Okay, so you'd have those in pairs, would you?
Yeah, normally.
You're supposed to be talking about the lemon Tetras, so straight away I got distracted.
We've gone for something else.
They're so cool. I love them. But obviously I've got beginner fish, so I am attracted to those. But yeah, anyway, more lemon Tetras. I've got a few lemon Tetras. I think I did anyway. Or was it the extra? I don't know, but they are really nice. Okay, let's go for number 2.
So number 2, I'd probably say they're a little bit nippier, so you've got to be careful what you mix them with. I wouldn't mix them in with fighters or guppies, anything with sort of long fins. I would try and steer clear of them. But the black phantom Tetras, just because of that solid black coloration, they just really stand out, especially in a planted aquarium. That green plant with that black sort of fish in front of them, they look amazing. So they get these tiny little blue stripes either side of that black stripe in the middle of the body that you can see.
Oh yeah, they look awesome.
And then the females are a bit more red and pink. So
yeah.
You can sort of see the difference between males and females. So you can have a nice mixture.
This guy's distracted me again straight away. No, but I see what you mean. I do love the difference, actually. Like you say, it's good for beginners to be able to sex something easy, so that would be a really good choice. Do you reckon you'd get some breeding from these if you had them in a tank on their own or something like that?
Definitely get breeding behaviour.
Yeah.
You'll see the spawning behaviour from them, which is nice to see because the males will colour up, they'll be really flamboyant, the fins will go and be extended to their full extent. So they're a really nice fish to watch. You will get them laying eggs. Whether you get them to survive will be another story. They are very tricky to rear, unfortunately.
Right, okay. So if you spotted it and was able to take the eggs out, I'm more asking for myself here, really.
Yeah. There is definitely, you can. It's been done in the hobby several times, so it's not, well, millions of times probably. It's not a hard thing to do, but you've just got to concentrate on it. It'd be setting up a specific tank to rear the young in, and making sure that none of the adults eat the eggs. So it's normally breeding them in a specific tank is easier.
So would you suggest, say for instance my Amazon tank that's got a massive mix of like Tetra, would you suggest there would have some point been eggs been going on in there, but they would just get like, you know, eaten up in no time?
I would expect so. With the mixture of fish, you know, as soon as a fish becomes mature, then in theory, as long as it's being fed and the water's clean and all the plants are in there and they've got places that they're happy, then yeah, there should have been spawning behaviour in there, I would expect.
Okay. So I could have had hundreds of babies. And
Thousands, who knows?
Never mind, it's okay, it's fine. Click subscribe. So one of the main problems I have when I come here, guys, is that there is such an absolutely massive selection, and I just end up wanting to buy absolutely everything, you know, or I'm coming here for something specific, and then I'll find it here, it's awesome, and then Matt goes, oh no, have you seen these? And then before you know it, I'm now setting up another 2 tanks, and that's why I've got 50 tanks now. I mean, not quite as many as in here, but you know, one day I think we'll be here. Boom! Where are we, Matt?
So we're on our, what we call our live bearer wall.
Right.
So this is where all of our guppies, mollies, swordtails, platies, everyone likes that, lives. And platies are just one of those fish that adds instant colour and just are so hardy. The nice thing with them, you can see the array of colours that you can get. Blues, golds, reds, there's just so many different colours and so many variations within those colours.
Yeah.
Really easy to tell the differences of males and females. So you've just got to have a look at the fin just underneath their belly. Females will have a large triangle, males will just have a line coming back from the belly. So really easy to tell the difference, and a really nice fish to breed. You do have to be careful you don't sort of get inundated with them all, but as long as you've got enough in there, they should regulate themselves really.
Right. What? But just because the parents will predate on the youngsters?
Parents will, unfortunately, they're not the most parental fish in the world. So unfortunately, as soon as it's sort of out, it is fair game, unfortunately, for anyone, whether that's mum, dad, or anyone else.
And this, I recently got 6 of these platies. I think there was, well, no, what were they?
I think they were...
something like these. Yeah, anyway, yeah. So mine have had babies already, as I've shown Matt already. They've, I think about 5 have survived, which is, I'd take that. I mean, I don't really want any more than that.
That's it. You don't. If you leave them to their own devices and you let the babies settle in, you'll find that those guys will sort of, you'll get the odd few survive, and that's nice. You don't want to keep 30 or 40 babies, because you're just going to end up in this sort of cycle of, well, you'd have tanks and tanks full of platies, and that's not fun for anyone.
Well, if the tank's big enough, it could be pretty cool.
Indeed, yeah. If you've got a big tank, then you could just have hundreds of platies. It would be amazing.
Well, my ecosystem tank at the moment, I've put in about 5 ender females.
Yes.
And as soon as I put them in the big ecosystem tank, which is 4 foot, she popped and is already babies everywhere. So imagine that, like 4-foot tank full of endlers. Like the colours are going to be insane in a couple of months.
It'll look really cool.
Until I put the predator in.
Yeah. Now, one of my favourites over here is the golden white cloud minnows. Now, these little guys are the golden variety of their sort of darker cousins that are wild coloration. But these, they just really pop with that red and that gold on the tail. They really do sort of look amazing once they're a little bit bigger. With these...
So what does, hang on Matt, just for people who don't know, what does temperate mean?
Oh, so temperate is a sort of cool water aquarium. So if you've got an aquarium in your home...
So not cold, because people always say cold.
Yeah, everyone calls it cold. It's sort of, it's from years and years ago, everyone calls it a cold water aquarium. But really it's temperate. And that is keeping it in your house without a heater, but just sort of letting it go to room temperature. All these fish can deal with swings in the temperature. So if you've got, at some point, you know, it gets a little bit colder and it goes down to 15 degrees, they're going to be okay with it. If it then goes up to 18, 20 in the summer, they're going to be okay with it. So they're a really hardy fish to keep. That being said, they can go into tropical waters as well with the golden minnows, so you can mix them into a good tropical community tank. But this is just a really good option if you don't want the hassle of a heater and you're a little bit worried, you can just stick to the temperate fish then, so much easier sometimes.
So basically, if you cannot go wrong with these, they're actually one of my favourites as well. I like the golden variety. Well, it depends on the tank, doesn't it? Because
It's tricky. They both have their own sort of quirks. When you look at the sort of wild coloration, they have that beautiful silver stripe to them and a bit more brown to the body and to the underbody, and it's a bit bronzy sort of thing. So they are really nice, but the gold is just a firm favourite because of how much they stand out.
And is the gold a natural variety? Is that what we've created?
We've created those.
Okay, so selective breeding, basically.
Exactly.
You're right,
selective breeding to make sure, well, to bring that gold coloration out. It's a natural formation. It's not like we've sort of messed around with them too much. It's just selective breeding, the same way you get different coloured dogs and different coloured cats. It's just selective breeding to bring that colour through, really.
And the reason then that wouldn't probably happen in the wild is because they stand out too much and would get picked off by predators, I guess.
Absolutely. If there's something that's brown and it's going to blend into those rocks and to those pebbles that are in the river, if there's something that's bright gold, unless you've got a river full of, you know, white quartz, they're not going to blend in too well, unfortunately. They are going to get seen very quickly.
Okay, wicked. Yeah, they're one of my favourites. I do like them. Very underrated. And if you get a big group of them, they do actually school, don't they? Or shoal, or...
They do, yeah.
School or shoal? What's...
Now that's
Come
a
on,
question.
it is. Internet debate.
There is an actual answer to it, and I can't remember it.
You need to remember... Well, I'll stop if I have to.
Might have to Google it later. But
Okay.
there is a difference between schooling and shoaling, if memory serves. I think it's something to do with how they group together. But I might be wrong. I might be wrong.
But both are grouping together, though. So, yeah,
Exactly.
either or.
Yeah,
But, yeah, I've always found that they do that quite well in a large group. So like 6+, like minimum, I'd say.
Exactly.
I've seen it happening like that. I mean, it's a bit chaotic in this tank, but obviously you are displaying your products. So obviously,
it's always a bit chaotic in the tanks because we've just got to have so many different fish and so many varieties for everyone to choose from.
Yeah, there's only a limited number of tanks at the end of the day. Right, on to the final fish. Okay, what's this section, Matt? Because this is just after you come in the entrance.
Yeah, so this is our tropical, it's still tropical, but what it is it's a bit larger and a bit more, brutish, I suppose you would say. There's things like bigger barbs on here, angelfish, so they're those fish that you don't want to mix in with small tetras, but you're still fine to keep them in a larger fish community. So mixing them in sort of amongst themselves or mixing them with larger species of tetra and barb, they're okay with it. So yeah, it's a bit of our larger fish community, really.
Would you say that this would be someone who's a beginner but looking to push it a little bit more, expand their knowledge, maybe a second sort of fish adding to an already established aquarium or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. They're still very hardy in what they are, but it's one of those fish that if you've got a larger tank and you want a bit more of a showy fish and you just want to sort of push the boundaries a little bit, this is a great place to start looking, most definitely.
Okay, and the fish that you are recommending?
Are these guys. So these are Redline torpedo barbs or Denison's barb.
Awesome, look at those. So they get quite big, if I remember.
They do, yeah. So they'll get to sort of 12 to 15 centimetres fully grown, so they're going to get quite chunky once older.
So what size fish tank would you say? Because some beginners do go straight in and get a big fish tank at the end of the day, don't they?
Yeah, I started mine off, when I used to keep a group of these, I started mine off in a 4 foot with a group of about 6 or 7 and then moved them up eventually to a 5 foot. And yeah, they were a really nice shoal. Once they get up to that size and they're sort of all buzzing around together, they're really, really impressive fish. Yellow tips to the fins, red stripe down the side of the body. They're just a really showy fish and one that you don't see too often in big groups. A lot of people end up trying to keep them in smaller groups, but they're so much better in a really chunky group with lots of them because they just show off so much better.
Awesome. So these fish are they look like they should be fast. Like they swim fast, I know that, but where are they from?
Yeah, so these guys are from fast flowing rivers, quite highly oxygenated, so if you can get some good flow in there, maybe power heads or big external filters that are going to pass the water over them, they do really well because they're going to hit that flow and they're just going to constantly swim into that stream of water.
You'll get the best out of them, won't you?
Yeah,
like you don't have to, but if you do, you'll get the best
you'll see
experience.
That sort of natural behaviour, and you'll see that behaviour of them all swimming in a group, all against the fast-flowing water. And if you've got some plants then that will sort of stretch down through the aquarium, actually flow in the water, you'll see them darting in amongst it. So you'll get that really natural behaviour, which is always good to see in an aquarium. That's what we're trying to recreate most of the time, is to see those different behaviours.
But what about if you put frozen figures and Jungle Book vines and stuff? That's not going to simulate it, is it?
If that's your thing, that's your thing.
You sell quite a lot of that stuff, don't you?
We do sell quite a lot of that stuff. It's everyone's own tastes. You know, if that's what you like and you want a big jungle statue in there, these guys could look quite cool with that. Loads of jungle statues.
Hang on. They could work in my Buddha aquarium.
Really? Yeah, they would. Yeah, they'd look
That'd be
really
quite
good
cool.
in there.
At this size, I probably have to move them later on because it's only a 3-foot aquarium.
Yeah,
but
so once they start growing, you can move them out. But I'm sure you would be able to find another bigger aquarium in your...
Yes, I will be doing that at some point. That's the thing, see, like quite often people are thinking you have to get the giant tank straight away. Look, as long as you're willing to upgrade, and you know you're going to have to do that, I think that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point in putting, if you're going to put 6 of those fish into a 5-foot, they're going to get lost instantly. In a 5-foot, you're going to want a group of 15 or 20 to make any impact. But if you're going to put 6 or 7 into a 3-foot, grow them on for several months, and once they get up to that bigger size, then you can move them into a 5-foot. Then that's going to be more impactful, and you know that then you've got your numbers and your shoals right.
All right, Matt, I'll buy it.
Okay, cool. So, we're going to have a look at a bit of a wild card, I suppose we would say now.
Awesome.
These guys are really cool. I'm going to have to move my ladder, so I've left it in front of them stupidly. What we've got over here, this is coming into our larger South and Central American cichlid section. So these guys do get a little bit bigger. You've seen some of them in previous videos, I think with like the redhead earth eaters at the front of the shop. They do get a little bit bigger, but you can still mix them into a larger fish community. Now these guys have just come in the last couple of weeks with the same delivery as spoken about earlier, and these are Firemouth cichlids. So in the back here, you can see...
hang on, it's just focusing on the front. Let me manual focus, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, the big boys at the bottom.
So we've got the big boys at the bottom. Those are our sort of adults that have come in.
Nice.
So they get a really bright red chest to them.
Stunning.
Look really, really pretty. And then we've got some juveniles as well that are sort of hanging around them. So we've got the large and the small mixed together at the moment. And with those guys, they're going to get sort of 12-15 centimetres again. They're going to protect a little area of the tank, so they're going to sort of find a cave, and a bit like the apisto that you've seen and like the cribs, they're just a bigger version of that. So you need to give them a bit of space and sort of a few caves to call their own. But with those guys again, mixing them in with larger barbs, any of the sort of really sort of bigger tetras, so things like your Buenos Aires tetra and Colombians, you can mix those guys in with all of those in a big community. As long as it's sort of 5 foot, then you can get a nice community going in there with the Firemouths.
And maybe someone wants to just have those on their own, in which case you wouldn't need a 5 foot,
No,
would you?
exactly,
But
no.
also I think it's worth putting the caveat as, when we say like beginner fish of these, it's more like a beginner cichlid. Like you'd need to have some experience within fish keeping.
Exactly, you need to sort of work out what avenue you're going to go down. You know, if you want loads of tetras and guppies and things like that, these are not going to be for you. But if your ultimate goal is to have larger fish and a larger tank with bigger species in it, then these guys would be a really good place to sort of look and to start having a look around.
What are they like for aggression, Matt?
They're actually, well, I'd probably say they're a mid sort of level aggression. They're not going to be sort of super chilled out, but as long as, again, they're provided with the space and a couple of caves that they can call their own, they can make a home in, then they're not too bad at all. Again, I've kept them in with a lot of different things over the years, and as long as they're big enough and fast enough, a bit like you've been doing recently with the blood fins and the crevensis, as long as they're big enough and fast enough, they're absolutely fine, and they mix in really well. A lot of people, you'll end up seeing the term ditherfish used online quite a lot, and that's to try and keep the pairs of cichlids interested in anything else but each other with regards to aggression.
Right.
That's what ditherfish do. They keep themselves sort of, keep the fish away from each other.
So I just want to say a big thank you to Matt for having us today, telling us all this awesome information. If this goes well and people like it, we can do more stuff. We can do more advanced fish. Ooh. Don't know what that was.
All excited.
We could do advanced stuff. We've got some awesome big tanks here as well that I'd like to showcase as well, especially the puffer that you've seen in this video as well, in the B-roll. Yeah, so I look forward to that. So thank you very much, Matt.
Awesome, thank you for coming.
Bye.